Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports podcast. On this podcast, Lane Frank, we're now on episode 190. So 190 episodes through. It's a very special episode, everybody. It's a very big day. Not because it's election day, but because it's the start of season 5. So cast your ballots in the comments on what you want to see more of this season. Just like me, Ryan Williams, and Cooper Flagg, I cannot vote. But this is going to be a great episode. Season 5 on the way. So what you want to see for this season, leave it in the comments. Got a big day, big episode coming up right here. We're going to talk about college football, college basketball on the way, and MLB offseason. So much more. Stay tuned for an action-packed episode 190. Let's hop into it. Let's start off episode 190 in season 5. How we always do are the headlines in the NBA. First things first in the NBA, Joel Embiid is suspended 3 games, not because of injuries, but for pretty much accosting or assaulting a reporter in the locker room. Well, Joel Embiid, you can't do that, and you also can't play. So Sixers downhill right now. Paul George made his debut the other night, looked terrible. Sixers, an array of issues right now for them. For my New York Knicks, playing some pretty good basketball. The big bodega, Karl Towns had a great game the other night. Looking like they're getting to the swing of things. Love to see it right there. The Los Angeles Lakers, it looked like they were playing great, but they've hit a tough patch so far on the road this season. So how the Lakers rebound from that road game, road stint has been pretty rough for them. That road trip, Brownie has been playing. Even though he did get his first career points, congratulations to him. Anthony Davis has been having a great year. Now he's injured. We're going to have to see how JJ Redick and the Lakers rebound from that. Victor Wembanyama had his second career 5x5 game and one of the only ones ever in the NBA. It's incredible. That means he had over 5 points, over 5 rebounds, over 5 assists, over 5 steals, and over 5 blocks. A 5x5 game for Victor Wembanyama. Will he ever get a quintuple double? Leave your thoughts on that in the comments. Or even a quadruple double, which has only been done once in the NBA before by David Robertson. In the worst news in the NBA, in the last news in the NBA, a guy who was playing great basketball, Paolo Banchero to start the year, out for about a month with no oblique injury. Tough to see right there for a guy who I really thought was on a horizon to be an NBA superstar. Still is, but tough injury right there. His 3rd season in the NBA for Paolo Banchero. Let's move things over to the NFL. We've had a very eventful week. The first thing in the NFL, Dennis Allen has been fired as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Doesn't survive another week. They started the year 2-0. They were on fire, beating the Cowboys, beating the Panthers. Now they're at 2-7. Bad loss to the Panthers this week. Dennis Allen cut from the Saints this week. Jets, they got a nice win Thursday Night Football. The first one of the Devontae Adams era over the Texans. For the Minnesota Vikings, they got things rolling on Sunday, bouncing back on Sunday Night Football against Indianapolis Colts after 2 straight losses. Detroit Lions playing like the best team in the NFL. They are the best team in the NFL, and they're playing great football. Nice one they had over the Packers on Sunday. For the Eagles, they're 7-2 right now, playing really good football. Beginning of the year, a little bit of woes, a little bit of struggles. Now Saquon Barkley is like the human highlight reel, making great plays all around the field. Eagles moving up 6-2. For the Rams, nice game on Sunday. Beat the Seahawks up in Lumen Field. Seahawks, like I said, and I've said it every week, they had a great start to the season, a 3-0, and now they're just crumbling. It's because of Geno Smith. There's nothing they can do about it except move on from Geno Smith after the season. But nice win right there for the Rams. They made some moves at the deadline. Didn't always agree with those, but deadline over now in the NFL. Next thing, the deadline we had in the NFL, trade deadline, was Marshawn Lattimore going over to the Washington Commanders, traded from the New Orleans Saints. A guy who was great in college, great his first 2 years in the NFL. Injuries have hurt him a little bit. Now he'll head up to Washington. Hopefully he can finish out his career there and have some great years there with Jane Daniels as his quarterback. And then he'll be playing defense right there in Washington for that Dan Quinn elite defense. They got a nice one on Sunday over the New York Giants. Tough for me right there as a Giants fan. Arizona Cardinals, nice one on Sunday. Keep things rolling. Atlanta Falcons, 6-3 now. Kirk Cousins playing like he's the MVP. Had a great year last year too, up until he tore his Achilles, but love to see Kirk Cousins balling out, everybody. Baltimore Ravens, they had a great matchup. They were going against the Denver Broncos, a team with a winning record. This is a real big game for both teams because the Broncos win that. It's like, Bo Nix is really that guy. Maybe he can win Rookie of the Year over Jane Daniels. Now it's Lamar Jackson's turn. He gets it done. They kill them 48-10. Love to see it. Bo needs some time to learn. Lamar on the rise, and they might just win the Super Bowl this year, everybody. They're playing great. Dolphins couldn't get it done against the Bills on Sunday. Really close game. Tyler Bass banked in a 61-yard game-winning field goal. Tough right there for Miami. Keep on losing. I mean, they're really just struggling this year. Tyreek Hill's 1 touchdown a year, and that's in week 1. This Dolphins team, maybe a blow-up needs to happen. I don't know, but struggling right now, this Dolphins team. Carolina Panthers, congratulations to them getting their second win of the season. It's a huge win for Bryce Young, everybody. I loved it. Dave Canales, I loved his post-game speech. They get another big game this week against the Giants in Germany. I want to see Bryce Young start. I want to see Bryce Young play great. We're going to see that on Sunday. Loved it from Bryce Young. That's what I want of the number one pick. The former number one overall pick. Looking like he's not a bust after all, everybody. Bryce Young just played great football on Sunday. Cincinnati Bengals took down the Raiders on Sunday. Raiders had a full-on staff implosion after that, firing their quarterback coach, offensive line coach, and offense coordinator. Big stuff right there. Antonio Pierce making moves down there in Las Vegas after yet another loss. Chargers got a nice one on Sunday, keep things rolling over the Cleveland Browns. Jameis just didn't play good football for the Cleveland Browns. And Lamb McConkey looking like a really big bright spot right now for this Los Angeles Chargers offense. We just talked about the Washington Commanders, the great win they had on Sunday over my New York Giants. Tennessee Titans, they might have had the game of the week going up against Drake May and the Patriots. Mason Rudolph somehow is still a starting quarterback, and he's actually playing good football. This guy started a playoff game last year for the Steelers against the Bills. I like Mason Rudolph as an NFL quarterback. He was great in college at Oklahoma State. Didn't do bad in his 1 year as the quarterback for the Steelers when Ben Roethlisberger was hurt. And now he got a nice one Sunday. But for Drake May, had that game-time touchdown to go overtime, improvising. Love to see right there out of the rookie. This rookie quarterback class we talked about last week, really shaping out nicely, everybody. And then to cap it off, Monday Night Football, Chiefs went to overtime, and of course they got done. Every week the theme is they do enough, they get the win, and they're 8-0 now, everybody. Love to see it. Kansas City Chiefs 8-0. That's about for the headlines this week. Now, Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day, everybody. We're doing pretty well with our NFL picks this year, at least better than our college football picks. That's horrible right now, everybody, but you'll see that in College Ball Showcase. But for right now, what's up to Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day, Week 10 in the NFL. Bengals versus the Ravens. Let's go with the Ravens in this one. Bengals, still a good team. Got a great win last week, but I love this Ravens squad. I love Zachary Orr as their defense coordinator. Lamar Jackson just playing good football. Ravens over the Bengals. Broncos versus the Chiefs. Broncos, very favorable schedule early on in the year, and now it's getting a little bit tougher, and they're going to lose this game right here, drop the 5-5. Tough loss to the Chiefs right now. Niners versus the Buccaneers. Let's go with the Niners in this one. Buccaneers had a really good game last week, obviously, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. A rough loss the week before that against Atlanta. This is a team that can beat any team, any given Sunday, any given day. But they can also mess up, and I think they do that right here. Fall into a little bit of a skid, unfortunately. Even though they're a great team, they fall into a little bit of a skid. Losing to the Ravens, losing to the Falcons, losing to the Chiefs. And now they lose to the San Francisco 49ers. Niners over the Buccaneers. Next one, Steelers versus the Commanders. Let's go with the Commanders, everybody. Commanders just playing really well. Both teams have great records. Steelers at 6-2, Commanders at 7-2. But Jane Daniels and company just playing great. Commanders over the Steelers. Eagles versus the Cowboys. Nobody should pick the Cowboys at all, ever. But especially not in this one. The way Saquon Barkley is playing, the way the Cowboys are playing, the way Jalen Hurts is playing, the way Nick Sirianni is coaching football. Easy one right here. Eagles over the Cowboys. Jets versus the Cardinals. This is going to be a great game. Cardinals really playing well right now. With the Jets, they have so much momentum after that Thursday Night Football win. I talked about it last week. I said, you win on Thursday Night Football, that's a season-changing thing. Because you get that long break, you get that nice Friday post-game, you get that awesome day on Friday where you just have to do nothing, no practice. It's like an extra bye week when you win on Thursday Night Football. And that's what the Jets did last week. And they're going to win again this week over the Arizona Cardinals. Let's go Jets. Lions versus the Texans. It's going to be a great game. The game of the week. But C.J. Stroud has been struggling, everybody. Back-to-back weeks of under 200 yards passing. Don't love to see that out of the second-year quarterback. A little bit of a sophomore slump right now. The Houston Texans quarterback. Let's go with the Lions over the Texans. Now, the last game of the week, Dolphins versus the Rams. Monday Night Football. Tua Tagovailoa needs a win. Rams, a little bit of an implosion at the trade deadline. Didn't love what I saw. I'm going with the Dolphins. Upset win over the Rams. Let's do it. Tua Tagovailoa and company get a win on Monday Night Football. Their first in many weeks. Dolphins over the Rams. That's about for Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is my top 5 teams in the NFL. Let's hop into it. For 5, Green Bay Packers. Love Jordan Love, the way he plays football. But sometimes like Jordan Love will act like Aaron Rodgers, and sometimes he'll act like the bad Brett Favre, where he doesn't know what a check down is and has to throw the ball 90 yards in there every single play, throw it into triple coverage all the time. He can get away with it sometimes. He also can't. Definitely didn't get away with it on Sunday against the Lions. But I think come playoff time, Jordan Love is a mature quarterback in his 5th year in the NFL, 2nd year starting. Packers, number 5. 4, Philadelphia Eagles. I'm an Eagles believer now, everybody. The way Saquon Barkley's running the football, the way Jalen Hurts doesn't have to do too much. Devontae Smith is coming to his own as a receiver, and his defense is always going to be elite. 4, Eagles. For 3, let's go with the Baltimore Ravens, everybody. Ravens, like I said, they're my Super Bowl pick. I always like this Ravens team. I like Jackson. I like their running game right now. I think Mark Andrews is finally playing some good football, and they're a really good team. but these two teams above them are just too good. Ravens, number 3. Number 2, the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs are at play. You're saying, Lane, they're undefeated. How could they not be number 1? Because the team that's number 1 is the best team in the NFL because they're better. They're playing great football. They only have one loss in the year, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I know Kansas City Chiefs just beat on Monday Night Football. But if you played right now, Lions versus the Buccaneers, it'd be an absolute domination by the Lions. The Lions are the only team in the NFL right now that can be feared by every single team. You can beat the Chiefs. The Raiders could have beat the Chiefs a few weeks ago. Ravens can beat the Chiefs. Buccaneers could have beaten the Chiefs. Chargers could beat the Chiefs. Browns could beat the Chiefs. All these teams in the Chiefs' schedule could beat them. I can't say the same for the Lions, everybody, and that's why they are the best team in the NFL. For 1, Lions. That's about for top 5, everybody. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, did you know this week's Did You Know is it's about college ball playoff. We're in my college ball playoff for you today. In the first ever college ball playoff rankings, Ohio State was ranked 16. By the end of that season, when the college ball playoff rankings officially came out and is the real college ball playoff, they were up to number 4. So, the lowest ranked team in the initial college ball playoff rankings to ever actually make the playoff is Ohio State in 2014 at 16. So right now, all these teams at 17 below, maybe you're Pitt, maybe you're Iowa State, maybe you're SMU, somebody like that, you're saying, oh, we can really make the playoff this year. Don't think so, because lowest team ever in the initial college ball playoff rankings, and we don't know the rankings yet for tonight, to ever actually make the playoff is Ohio State in 2014, and they're 16. Didn't know that? Leave that in the comments. That's about for Did You Know this week. Okay, everybody, let's start our spotlight this week on Juan Soto. Now, Juan Soto, he's a guy who was a great hitter in MLB. Great hitter. Had 2 really bad years in San Diego. Really didn't think his career would go amazing after that because he was a great hitter in Washington, was an okay hitter in San Diego, and was really just valued very highly because of his time in Washington. And then the Yankees took a gamble on him, and they traded for him. He played like an MVP who deserves a huge contract right now. Well, the hugest contracts in MLB are Shohei Ohtani, $700 million, Mike Trout, $400 million, Mookie Betts, $400 million, Francisco Lindor, $300 million, and Fernando Tatis, $330 million. So, does Juan Soto deserve that $700 million contract? No, let me add Yoshinobu Yamamoto, $420 million to that list. The only reason that Shohei Ohtani is paid $700 million because he can hit and he can pitch for you. He can be a top 10 pitcher for you, and he can be the best hitter in baseball for you. That's why Shohei Ohtani gets $700 million. I don't think Juan Soto is better than, let's say, Mike Trout. I don't think Juan Soto is better than Mookie Betts. I wouldn't even say Juan Soto is better than Francisco Lindor. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He is an elite player. And Juan Soto took a huge gamble a few years ago, declining a $400 million deal by Washington that looked really stupid up until this season because he's had a great season so far, or had a great season with the Yankees. Now everybody thinks that Juan Soto is worth this $600 million contract. Why? Why? Because Yoshinobu Yamamoto, a guy who never pitched the game in MLB before, got $400 million? Because Ohtani got $700 million? I didn't agree with the Yoshinobu Yamamoto deal. I think Mike Trout's underpaid. I think Mookie Betts is underpaid. At least if we're going to say that Juan Soto is worth more than them, they're better than Juan Soto. Juan Soto's not better than them right now. At least not right now. Juan Soto does not deserve a $600 million deal. Yankees will give him $575, and I know my Mets will go above that. But do I want them to? Yeah, because I want Juan Soto. Is he worth that? Absolutely not, everybody. Juan Soto, in my opinion, at the max, is a $500 million player. Nothing more. And that's incredible to be a $500 million player. You are an elite talent in baseball. But is Juan Soto better than Bryce Harper getting paid $300 million? Is he better than Francisco Lindor? Is he better than Mookie Betts? Is he better than Mike Trout? Because if he gets this huge $500, $600, $700, $800 million deal, ask yourself, is he better than those players? And then come back to you with an answer. Right now, I say I'm not sure. And if you're not sure, you don't get in that deal. Juan Soto, you're not special. Out of these superstars, $400 million is the darling line. I'm going right here with Juan Soto. It's going to go above that, but I'm telling everybody in the MLB, Juan Soto is not worth more than $400 million. I love Juan Soto as a player. He's an incredible talent. $400 million is the max right there because Ohtani set the line with $700 million because he can pitch and he can hit. Juan Soto's not Babe Ruth, everybody. He can't do both. He can only hit for you, and he can't do it every game. So, Juan Soto, $400 million. That's where I'm drawing the line. Leave your thoughts in the comments. That's about for the spotlight this week. Now, everybody, it's time to Schoolyard Sports Scream. I'm James Franklin, everybody. Penn State head coach James Franklin. You're about to get screamed on by me. You're joining a very elite club of people. You're joining Mel Tucker, you're joining RJ Young, you're joining a lot of people in the Schoolyard Sports Scream ring of things. So let's hop into it. The first thing I want to talk about with James Franklin is this is not no elite coach who has won so many games in his career up to being at Penn State. No, he was at Vanderbilt. I mean, had pretty good years at Vanderbilt, but nothing too special. All the stats I'm hearing about Vanderbilt right now, it's like first 6-3 start ever. James Franklin never had a 6-3 start. James Franklin really wasn't that good at Vanderbilt. So how is he the head coach at Penn State? Because Penn State is an elite program. Elite. And now they're a window program. James Franklin has turned Penn State into a window program. What I mean by that is you have windows of success and then you have very, very bad years. Like Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a window program. They are not an elite program. So for James Franklin, at this program at Penn State right now, I don't think he's leading them in the right direction. Terrible loss on Saturday at Ohio State. You're at home. You're in front of your fans. You need a top 5 win. Everybody wants to go back to that 2016 game against Ohio State because that's the only time James Franklin has had a huge win in his college football career. Only time. Never at Vanderbilt. Only once at Penn State. The year Penn State was great. They finished number 5 in the AP poll rankings, college football playoff rankings, was the year they lost the Rose Bowl, and the year they lost 49-10 to the Michigan Wolverines, yet they still were above them in the final rankings. Still stings me as a Michigan fan that they were above them and got that Rose Bowl nod above them. For Penn State and James Franklin, the time is now, not anymore. Because you could say a few years ago, you could say before the season, I think I even did say it before the season, James Franklin, the time is now. James Franklin, what's the time now? You let Drew Aller, a guy who really doesn't run the ball great, run the ball so many times a game. You let Sean Clifford play 6 years for you. Sean Clifford is not a good college ball quarterback. He's not a good NFL quarterback. Should have gone to the transfer portal. Penn State's a desirable program. Why couldn't they go to transfer portal? Get somebody better. And don't give me the, they would have won this game if it was a night game. Fox messed up Penn State. What? Makes no sense to me, that argument that I'm seeing right now. James Franklin acted classless on Saturday with the fans. He acted like an idiot in the press conference. This is your game. At home, at Happy Valley. This is your game to win. It's top 5 team. You don't lose games at home as a top 5 team to another top 5 team if you're at home and you want to win a championship. It just doesn't happen. And James Franklin did exactly that on Saturday. He's done exactly that for the past 9 years at Penn State. That's about Schoolyard Sports Scream. Everybody, leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, College Hoops Madness, everybody. One of my favorite segments to do. We do it every year. College Basketball Madness, equivalent to College Ball Showcase in college football, but college basketball season underway, and I'm so in tune with that, everybody. So here are my college basketball preseason hot takes. Put them out on Instagram. Go follow at Schoolyard Sports. We're going to be doing breakdowns, updates all season on there on the Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. But here's the breakdown I got for you right now. Mark Sears, Alabama point guard, wins Player of the Year. The transfer point guard who led this team to the Final Four last year is back with his running duo, Grant Nelson. I think Grant Nelson can have a great year, but I think Mark Sears can win Player of the Year, everybody. Mark Sears, Player of the Year for Alabama. Next one, Kentucky basketball, Mark Pope surpass Arkansas and John Calipari. I think Mark Pope and Kentucky put together a really good roster. Look at Kobe Bria, 6'7" guy. They have a really good size on this team for Kentucky. I don't love Arkansas's team right now. I think they're a good team, not as good as Kentucky. So Mark Pope and Kentucky outshine their former head coach, John Calipari, in Arkansas. Next one, and this might be a little bit of a shocker to people, at least, coming from me as a Michigan fan, but Michigan does win the Big Ten. Yes, I know I'm being biased right here, but I really do think that Michigan has a really great shot to win the Big Ten. I watched them the other night, and even before the first night game of the year, I thought Michigan could win the Big Ten. They won by 51 points. They were 1 point away from setting the, school record for field goal percentage. Dusty May is a guy who's made the Final Four before. He knows what he's doing. It's a great size lineup right here. You got 2 7-footers, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. They both played great the other night. Michigan will win the Big Ten in a down year for the Big Ten, everybody. Where there's no clear front runner, Michigan will be that clear front runner. And Dusty May, he can acknowledge that maybe not everybody's into Michigan basketball right now, but soon enough, that will change when Michigan is winning games. And I think they will be, and I think they'll win the Big Ten this year. Next one, Rutgers and their 2 top freshmen live up to the hype, and they get to a top 10 ranking. So I think they might be the second best Big Ten team behind Michigan. Rutgers is a really good team with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, both 5 stars. It's a huge opportunity for Rutgers this season. Steve Pickle, head coach, I think he gets it done, and they have a really, really good season. Rutgers lives up to the hype and more. Next one, this one might be a little bit of a surprise to people. Conconoopel of Duke, other freshman, surpasses Cooper Flagg. So I think Cooper Flagg, number 1 overall pick, everybody expects him to be great because he was so great in high school. His game might not translate amazingly to college basketball. I think he's going to have a great year, Cooper Flag. But I think he takes a little bit of a backseat right here to Concanoople, who I hear can be even better than Reed Shepherd, and showed that in the first game against Maine. So Cooper Flag, maybe he can still be the number one pick, but he's going to take a little bit of a backseat right here to Concanoople in the first season at Duke. And this will be their only season at Duke. But Concanoople outshines Cooper Flag this season. Creighton basketball has a great year, and they run through the Big East, everybody. No UConn, no Xavier, no Villanova, no Seton Hall. Creighton wins the Big East. Ryan Kalkbrenner is back for another year. Stephen Ashworth is there for another year. And Doug McDermott is a great college basketball head coach. Creighton has another great year, everybody. So, Creighton runs to the Big East, and they win that conference. Next one. This one I got a lot of hate for in Instagram, but I will be right. In 2022, I said North Carolina wouldn't have a great year. I said that they had number one ranking in the country, and that was false. They weren't a top team in the country. Definitely not number one preseason, and they missed the tournament. I was completely right. Then last season, North Carolina wasn't ranked highly preseason. Nobody expected them to do well. I said, watch for North Carolina. They're going to be contenders in the ACC. And of course, they get the number one seed, and they have a great season. Now, this year, I'm going to be right again. I'm going to go 3 for 3. I'm going to say North Carolina struggles this year, and they missed the NCAA tournament. Hubert Davis, you don't have your Armando Bacot. You don't have your big guy to go through. Size is a huge issue right now for North Carolina. Don't give me the, Ian Jackson, 5-star freshman, is going to be great. Don't give me that. North Carolina is not going to have a good year, and they have a fall off from last season. North Carolina falls off huge this season. Next one, my Final Four pick, I have Florida, Duke, Houston, and Alabama. My Final Four, everybody. Florida, look at this roster. They're a surprise team this year. Huge guys in this team. You have 7'9" center, Oliver Ryu. You have 7'1" power forward, Michael Hanlon-Golden. You have really good size in this team. Todd Golden, third year at Florida. Look for them to have a great year, everybody. Houston, very scrappy team. Saw them play in March Madness last year. Kelvin Sampson gets them to the Final Four this year. Duke, of course, the 5-star freshman. They're playing great, everybody, this season. I think they get to the Final Four. In Alabama, Mark Sears, Grant Nelson, they make their second straight trip to the Final Four in San Antonio. And now, it's time to pick my national champion, everybody. Who will win the 2025 national championship? I think we get a Duke versus Florida national championship. And in that national championship game, I'm going to go with, drum roll please, call me crazy, but I'm doing it for the third straight year. But this year is the most confident I've ever been about it. The Duke Blue Devils winning the national championship, everybody. I really didn't want to do it again. But then you look at this team. You look at this roster. I was a fool for picking them the past 2 years. I'm not a fool picking them this year. This team is incredible. You look at Mason Gillis, a guy who transferred from Purdue. He's their star that is ready to play college basketball. He can be that college basketball glue guy. Won't make the NBA, will be that college basketball glue guy. Malik Carr, great college basketball player, great defender. He's going to help out his team a lot. Common Malawak, I don't care what country you play for. You play in the Olympics at 18, you're incredible. And that's what he did right there for South Sudan this summer. Cooper Flag was also on the USA Olympic select team, played great. Concanoople, I'm leaving off so many guys. Ceylon James, Isaiah Evans, this Duke team, Caleb Foster, Tyrese Proctor coming back from last season. This team has so much talent, and they're going to win the national championship. That's about it for my College Hoops Madness this week, everybody. Now, College Sports Showcase, everybody. Now you roll. Give me my top 25 and my 6 hot takes. This week's top 25 is special because it's the first official Schoolyard Sports College Ball Playoff rankings, everybody. Let's hop into it. Usually going from 1 to 25. This week, since the playoff rankings, we'll go 25 to 1. It's interesting now. It's not just 4 teams. It's 12 teams in our College Ball Playoff. So let's see who gets snubbed and who doesn't. 25, Missouri. 24, Kansas State. Playing pretty well right now. 23, South Carolina. 22, Washington State. 21, Colorado. Colorado, huge game this week against Texas Tech. That's big for playoff implications. 20, Iowa State. 19, Pitt. 18, Clemson. 17, Ole Miss. Huge game this week against Georgia. You lose, you're done. You win, big chances for the playoff. 16, LSU. LSU, same thing with them. Huge game against Alabama this week. Love to see it always. First weekend in November, Alabama versus LSU. 15, Army. Army, huge chance to make the college football playoff if they can stay undefeated. That's a big task. Can they stay undefeated? 15, Army, huge win against Air Force this week. 14, Texas A&M. They were high in my rankings last week. They only have 2 losses. They only have 1 loss in the SEC. They'll probably make the SEC championship game. 14, Texas A&M, even after that tough loss to South Carolina. 13, SMU. And now we got our official top 12 of the college football playoff. Let's hop into it. So SMU and Texas A&M are my 2 huge snubs, the 2 out. 12, Boise State. You need one group of 5 team in there. Boise State gets that group of 5 nod. 11, Alabama. All rides on this week. You lose this week, you're done. You win, your chances go up a lot. 10, Penn State. Penn State, tough loss to Ohio State. Only one loss, but you're going down a lot in my rankings. 9, BYU. BYU's undefeated. Hopefully they can run the table, win the Big 12. 8, Indiana. Kurt Cignetti football. It's a thing of beauty. 8, Indiana. 7, Notre Dame. I'm a big Notre Dame believer. I know a lot of people are going to be upset that Notre Dame is above Indiana, even though they lost to Northern Illinois. If they don't lose that game in Northern Illinois, Notre Dame might as well be the number 2 team in the country right now behind Oregon. So, 7, Notre Dame. 6, Tennessee. Same thing with Tennessee. Tennessee probably should be undefeated, even though they're not. Tough loss to Arkansas, but still a good team. 6, Tennessee. Takes a while for their offense to get going. This defense is really good. Keeps them in it for a while. 6, Tennessee. You might hate this one. It's not a 14 playoff anymore, so it doesn't matter as much. 5, Miami. That's the big question tonight. Will Miami be a top 4 team? I say no. I think the committee will say no too. 5, Miami. 4, Ohio State. Huge win over against Penn State this week. Maybe rebounding from that Oregon loss. 3, Texas. Texas. Only one loss near Georgia, which is tough, but Texas, still a really good team. Quinn Ewers and company. 3. Number 2, Georgia Bulldogs. Carson Beck is playing horrible, but Georgia is winning football games. It's working for them. He's playing terrible football every single game, yet they still win. Georgia, number 2. And number 1, and finally, the Oregon Ducks are the best team in the country, everybody. That's about for my top 25. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, the hot takes, everybody. My 6 hot takes of the week. Every week, they're bad. This week, they're going to be great. Let's hop into it. First game, we roll. We go the best game of the week last, and we go the second best game of the week first. Second best game of the week, in my opinion, is Alabama versus LSU. The first week in November. I always love this matchup right here. This week, it's in Death Valley. Brian Kelly has never lost in Death Valley at home, at night. Never lost a home night game in Death Valley. Brian Kelly. Does he do it this time? Let's break it down. Well, Jalen Milroe is a very good quarterback at times. Like you say, sometimes the worst thing to do when you're playing against Jalen Milroe is cover everybody because he's wide open to run. Sometimes Jalen Milroe can force passes. It doesn't work out well for him. But I think when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, LSU, coming off a rough loss 2 weeks against Texas A&M, ruins their mojo a little bit. Bama on top right here. Alabama over LSU and gives Brian Kelly his first loss in a night game at Death Valley. Alabama over LSU. Next one, Texas Tech versus Colorado. Everybody wants Colorado to win this one, including me, but I don't think they get it done. Texas Tech, Joey McGuire, they upset the number 1 team in the Big 12 last week in Iowa State, and they get another big upset this week. Joey McGuire and company over Colorado. I like Baron Morton, this quarterback for Texas Tech, to play well. Texas Tech over Colorado in a home game for them. South Carolina versus Vanderbilt, a really interesting matchup between the 3 lost teams. Both ranked in the AP poll, only one ranked in my poll, and that's South Carolina. And that's who I'm picking this one. Lenora Sellers, Raheem Sanders, this seems really good. South Carolina over Vanderbilt. Had them beating Texas A&M last week, and that's exactly what they did. They shouldn't have 3 losses, even though they do. They should be a playoff contender, but Shane Beamer is a really good head coach. So is Clark Lee of Vanderbilt. Let's give Vanderbilt their props. They're a really good team, but Dylan Stewart and his defense will swarm on Diego Pavia, and they get it done. South Carolina over Vanderbilt. Next one, Washington versus Penn State. Now, this one's a little interesting because Penn State's coming off a loss, but it's their whiteout. So maybe it'll be a huge game for them. Maybe they'll dominate. Maybe not. Washington gives Penn State a scare in the whiteout. I don't know if Penn State has ever lost the whiteout. I think they have maybe once, and that's 2018 versus Ohio State, and it was a great game. Ohio State needed a huge fourth quarter comeback to win that one. I don't think Washington wins. I think they scare Penn State. Really close one right here. Washington loses close to Penn State. Penn State falling back a little bit after that rough loss last week, and don't play great again this week. Almost losing to Washington. Next one, this one might be a little interesting. A rivalry renewed. Utah versus BYU. Now in the same conference. The battle for the state of Utah. BYU's undefeated. Utah is a top 10 team preseason. It's going to be a great matchup. Cam Rising doesn't play for Utah anymore. Isaac Wilson does. And Utah has struggled so much this season since losing Cam Rising. And BYU is riding high, undefeated. I think in a rivalry matchup, tensions get high. I don't think they win, but I think it's a very close game. Utah gives BYU a huge scare, cuts close to them, but at the end of the day, BYU gets it done. It's a home game for Utah, so it should be interesting. The battle for the state, BYU claims it, but a close one right here. BYU close over Utah. Now, the game of the week. I've spent all week thinking about this game. Still thinking about it right now. I don't know who I'm going to pick. Jackson Dart is a great quarterback for Ole Miss, and they almost put up 70 points last week on Arkansas, a team that beat Tennessee. Arkansas, a good team in Arkansas. Georgia and Carson Beck, Carson Beck's thrown about 3 interceptions in what seems like every game this year. He might as well have the most interceptions in the country. They just haven't played well this year outside that Texas game. But that Texas game, Carson Beck played bad. The defense stepped up where it mattered. This is a game last year at home for Georgia where they throttled Ole Miss. I think it was like 55-17. Took a nap, and they were already destroying them at that point. Could that happen again this year? The amount of talent that Georgia lost wasn't that big. The amount of talent the Ole Miss lost wasn't that big. Ole Miss gained a lot of talent. But I think there's a culture mindset where you lose that badly to a team. You can't go back and beat that team next year. At least not outright. It can be closer. It can be whatever it wants to be. It can be a home game for Ole Miss. It can be the loudest Vaught Hemingway Stadium has ever been. It can be as pumped Jackson Dart's ever been for a game. It can be the best game plan Lane Kiffin has ever drawn up. But Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs will win this game no matter what, everybody. Georgia over Ole Miss. And that's part of the hot takes. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, at the buzzer. This week's at the buzzer. It's about a topic I would say I'm very educated on now that I'm more in favor of now. I'm on NIL advisory board now, and I'm really excited about it, but I want to talk about now 2 things in NIL. Is it more influential in college basketball or college football? Let's break it down. For college basketball, you can pay, let's say, $300,000 and get a great player for 1 year. You pay that for college football, you can get a decent player because college football is very expensive to get a top player. Let's say. You get him for 3 years. You have to pay that money for 3 years. And that's tough for college football. For college basketball, you only need it for 1 year. So is there a bigger impact in NIL in college football or college basketball? Leave your answer in the comments. That's by far at the buzzer this week. Now, the best for last, question day. This week's question day is, who's the best athlete in the world under 18 in honor of election day? Let's say who's the best athlete who cannot vote yet in America? Is it maybe MLS star Calvin Sullivan? Is it maybe Alabama star Ryan Williams? Maybe Duke star Cooper Flagg, Charlie Woods, Tiger Woods' son? A lot of great options right here. But who's the best athlete under 18 who can't vote? I can't vote. These guys can't vote. But who's the best athlete under 18 in America right now? That's about for question day. That's about for Schoolyard Sports Lane Frick, episode 190. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on X at Schoolyard Sport. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. Be back here next week, episode 191. Stay tuned.